Our student was JJ. He has Down syndrome. He's probably around 16 or 17. We didn't get his exact age. And then he struggles with speech, out-towing, and then some coordination. And then we used a lot of the gym space to keep him moving and like going back and forth because it was a bigger area than we anticipated. And then the next one.
For the activities he engaged in, our focus was really just to get him moving, get him involved, keep him cognitively engaged. One of the ways we wanted to go about that was just get him constantly moving, constantly walking, just using his whole body, just multi-system activities, and just things that are dual tasks, things that throw in a cognitive component that really make him think about what he's doing and kind of engaging with other people. Some of the ways we try to go about that was like scarf throwing, walking activities, soccer activities, bowling activities, basketball, just anything that was kind of like a whole body intervention as well as like a cognitive component for him to really think about what he's doing.
And then the impairments that impacted him, the speech kind of impacted him. He could speak a lot unless like his lips needed to touch for words. And then he struggled saying things if that was the case. So we kind of struggled with knowing what he wanted or what he was saying in some aspects. And then his out-towing made him a little slower and less balanced, and he just kind of took his time walking anywhere. So we kind of tried to include some speed and work on that. And then he struggled with taking his arms away from midline. That's why we added in the scarf throwing and the basketball shooting, because he always had his arms kind of right next to his side or like crossed. And so we were trying to get him to go outside of that. And then some strengths.
So some of his strengths, just to start off, just from a cognitive perspective, he was very agreeable and engaged. His instructors constantly commented how we got the lucky one. He was just very well-mannered, very willing to do and eager to do whatever. So we definitely used that to our advantage, keeping him engaged, just giving him things he liked to do, kind of talking him through it. Like, oh, what do you like to do? What colors would you like to use? Stuff like that. Another strength to utilize is muscular-wise, he's actually very strong. He's a very strong kid. And so just anything challenging his body, getting him to throw, getting him to kick, we didn't have to worry so much that he wasn't going to be strong enough to do something. It was more in the coordination realm. The third strength probably is his dexterity and hand use. He was pretty dexterous and good at fine motor skills, so we really used that to our advantage, doing kind of finite things like throwing a small ball or rolling a ball or kicking a ball into a small goal or anything that just required a little more precision. He was able to effectively do. Challenging, but he could do it.
Mm-hmm. And then we already kind of talked about this, the activities, we did during the session. We did kicking, like a soccer ball at goal, trying to make it to work on his, like, getting his foot facing forward. And then we did walking and shooting baskets. Same thing with him getting his hands out of midline and also working on him walking faster and with his toes pointing forward. And then worked on scarf throwing to, again, work on getting out of midline. With us just walking into him and not knowing much about him to begin with, we kind of just did whatever we could to keep him engaged and then kind of find his weaknesses that way.
He did remain engaged heavily throughout the session. He really loved the activities. Part of the ways we kind of kept him engaged was just through verbal encouragement, cheering him on, telling him you've got it or don't be discouraged. There were a few times he got distracted maybe where we had to keep him on course, but those were small, kind of few and far between. We also gave him mini breaks in between just so he did not get overly tired and he would keep going throughout the activity. And then during that break, we would just kind of talk to him about his personal life. What's home like? What do you like? What do you not like? And that kind of kept him engaged with us as the therapists, even when he wasn't doing an intervention per se.
And then one thing we learned is that we could come up with good interventions without really knowing the participant right away, because we just did anything we could to get him engaged at first. And then as he started going, we were noticing things that were going wrong, so we'd like add in a component. And like on top of that, kind of tying in, is adapting on the fly to meet his needs. So we kind of would like alter the activity with what we saw him doing versus not doing, and kind of tailor it to what he likes to do. Like we were trying to figure out if he liked basketball or soccer, if he liked any sports, or if he enjoyed dogs, so we'd bring that up in the middle of activities and that kind of stuff. So Yeah.